Hey, this is Peter. Just going to give you a slight prelude to the Battle of Fornovo, 1495. It's a pike and shot era Italian Wars battle using domains at war. I'm just going to review the troops just a little bit. We've had some scheduling issues and we weren't able to start the battle, but I thought I'd just go over the battle while I'm sitting here set up the stream. All right, so the Venetian League, the Holy League, if you will, which is made up of forces, primarily this infantry body. Let's see, under Piero Xiao, it's made up of arquebus, sword and buckler, crossbowmen, as well as some Mantuan troops from the northeast Italy in Mantua. Um, the right wing is headed by Count of Siazo. I don't know if I have his full name over here. No, I have it in my book, but primarily men at arms, crossbowmen, um, 4 units of men at arms, 6 units of crossbow. It's a relatively powerful right wing. The center, though, is the main force. The Holy League had concentrated primarily in the center. The French had concentrated primarily in their vanguard. We'll take a look at these troops here in a minute. This is the overall general, the captain general, if you will, as they used to call it, Rodolfo Gonzaga. This is the uncle of Francisco Gonzaga, who is famous for this battle, or had become famous from this battle. This is this painting that I have put over here for effect, if you will, is Gonzaga's attack across the Taro, the River Taro. Overnight, it had rained pretty significantly. Taro had overflown. It it's not it normally is not a full river, but when it does rain, it gets pretty wide. I think I was considering whether making this a 2 hex wide river. In fact, it probably should be, but whatever. It's all right. I will adjust the scenario as needed. So this center, again, of a pretty large body of Venetian, primarily Venetian infantry. This is literally known in texts as the infantry body. If you see old paintings of the battle, this is where the large bodies of pikemen and so forth are depicted. What I did for the arquebus um, black powder units was I gave them the crossbowmen, but they're technically they have a shorter range, but they can do damage of 2. I can't remember what I used to give it. I think I used to give it a hex range of 4 and a damage of 2 instead of the normal damage of 1. So they're pretty powerful, but they have a short range and they cannot volley overhead. I need to look up that rule before we play just to be sure. But from the Guns of War extension to the Domains of War game. Um, so we do have the generals for each overall division. These divisions are pretty unruly. For example, Piero Xiao has a leadership ability of 5, so in effect, he can only activate up to 5 of these unit cards. So as you can see, and he can activate at most. So if they become disordered, it gets very unruly, which I think depicts the historical nature of these larger bodies of pikemen and so forth, and men at arms pretty well. Usually the general would probably attach themselves. I need to look up how that's depicted. I really think I might need to pull that down so that they get at least some firing. Because what I found with Domains of War is, well, this battle might take longer, but of course with how many units we have. But sometimes these battles go pretty quickly, and if the artillery batteries don't get a fire in, they're not. It's 6 turns later. It's kind of almost insignificant. We do have some heavy cavalry. Okay, so just kind of give you an idea. Of course, the Holy League was marching in this direction. So in effect, this was their vanguard, this was their center, and this was their rear guard. But in the battle, in depictions of the battle, and descriptions of the battle, this is the right wing, this is the center, and this is the left wing. Let's see if that. This is the center with Gonzago, and then this is the infantry body. This effectively is their whole center. Let's take a look at the French. This is an interesting unit division over here. This is a division under Marshal de Guy. Um, he has 2 crossbowmen units. They have 2 attacks with short bow at 11 plus. They can go 2, 3, 4 as part of their movement. And if you're looking at these and you've never heard of Domains of War and don't understand what this is a loose foot unit who has a march of 2, a hustle of 3, and a charge of 4. Same thing with these cav units. A march of 3, a hustle of 6, and a charge of, excuse me, yeah, a charge of 9. So these guys can book it and hit heavy. And what happens when they charge is they get 2 lance attacks, lance and shield at 11 plus. So their target is 11 plus base. And then what you do is you take the AC of the enemy unit. So for example, if they were charging this heavy cav of the Mantuans, they would have to add the AC 6 to 17 plus to hit. Very difficult to pierce the heavy armor of the enemy cav. Now, they also get to do charging of 3 hooves at 8 plus. That's where the heavy cav come in play in this game very, very well. And I think this system actually depicts that better than some others. All right, so let's take a look here. So here's Marshal de Guy himself. He has 5 activation points, modifiers, roughly equivalent to everybody else. Now here are the bad boys. These guys are the Swiss Pike. I've also given them arquebus for missile attack. The thing is, they are self-activating. That means that the Marshal does not have to activate these units. They pretty much can work independently. And what I've also done is I've given them an arquebus leader or lieutenant so that they can, if they're disordered, they they can basically remove their disordered markers as well. They're self-activating, so that's kind of defeats the purpose, but whatever. They're badass. Again, Arquebus is pretty powerful. I can't remember the range I had given it, if I gave it 3 or 4. They're short range, but they can do 2 damage if they hit, which is pretty powerful. The French battery. This actually is one of the largest artillery batteries in Europe at the time. It might have been not quite so much as they were on their retreat back to France, but trying to go home. But still, one of the largest batteries of the time. And it's depicted here as being much larger than the Holy League. Here is Charles himself, the gout-ridden, rather diseased individual. I think he died only a few years later, apparently by hitting his head on a tennis court banner header. Relatively protected. He has his own general here, Jean de Foix, and during the battle, Gonzaga did charge across. He tried to charge in the middle, but it was too wide. It was too flooded, so he had to go upstream and so forth. You can read up on that. Here's an interesting part. The French had, of course, been in the country for, I don't know, approximately a year, at least half a year, and had been pretty full of Italian riches, and that's depicted by the wagon train, a large wagon train of gold. There's a special rule for this scenario that any unit within 6 hexes of the rear guard of the French will attack this division, as opposed to going on and attacking anyone else. The treasure is just too tempting, and that is depicted by the Stradiati, spelled differently in different countries, Statiati or Strodiati. These guys are from the Balkans. Very resourceful and well equipped, kind of more equipped in a Turkish manner, Ottoman manner. From the Balkans, very, very fast units, light attacking, and this rule set does very well at depicting the ability of light cavalry to basically probe the underbelly of a enemy division well, damage it, get away. The rules for light cavalry withdrawal, fighting withdrawal, or withdrawal during battle are really good in this system. It's originally designed, of course, for a D&D D20 extension for campaigns and so forth, and depicting battles for the Axe system. If you've seen that on this map, it's the Adventurer Conqueror King system by Alex Macris, a friend of mine, by the way. Good guy. Um, Great system, extension to a great D&D RPG system. If you're interested in that part, but it's really good miniatures game. Miniature system. It's really well done. It's quick play, but it gives you a really good feel for command at this level, at more of an epic level. It's quick play, but it does still feel like you're fighting it out. It's really good. It's just the right amount of detail. I really I really love the just the easy use of armor class and to hit. You wouldn't. I mean, just harkening back to the days of chainmail, of course, but just a very simple way to depict uniqueness of units. It works pretty well. So I will be doing this battle probably within the week, probably next weekend, and I'll schedule it on the Tabletop Simulator Wargaming Facebook group if you want to take part. Join there, or direct message me on Facebook, or even as a reply to the YouTube intro. Have a good one.